Good evening. Hope we're doing great. Just to be sure that you can hear me, if I could see some one, two, or half emojis
Yeah, we
sent
can
on.
hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. It's been a great journey, and we're almost done. 2 more weeks or 1 more week to go. But before we go into today's work, as usual, we'll have to have a recap and see if people have been able to play around with Notebook LM. Uh, you may want to share your screen. You may just want to explain some few things that you've been able to play around and see what you could do, the videos you generated. Maybe let's do one or two persons and we'll dive into today's today's agenda. So any one or two persons. This kind of thunderous silence. I don't understand.
Somebody is sharing their screen. I think Abdullahi.
Yes, I think
Okay.
I'm sharing mine. Actually, I've dabbled around it and I created some quizzes because right now I'm undergoing my pediatric rotation uh, as an intern in the hospital here. So I decided that let me create some quizzes with it, and so far it was amazing actually. Uh, Not only that they provide you with the answer when you like fail the quiz or choose the wrong answer, they will also go ahead and explain every option for you that this is the reason why this answer is not the right answer, and this is the reason why this answer is the correct answer. They will even go further again to take you back to your own maybe textbook that you upload, or maybe a document that you upload to give you a detailed explanation. And if you want further, they will also give you maybe exam concise direct word or phrase that clue to know those kind of pattern or questions. So far it was great. Let me put it that way.
Thank you very much for sharing, Abdullahi. Shows you've really explored the Notebook LM. Thank you very much. Any other person? One
I have.
more.
I want to share, but I cannot share while I'm recording, so I'm going to just share my experience.
Okay. This is
Ab-
serious.
Abdullah, you can stop sharing so that I can. I cannot share my screen. I cannot leave what I'm doing. But what I actually did when we stopped the class, I uploaded one of my articles that I've published, and I generated a video. It took a while, but it generated a 9 minutes 45 seconds video of my article. And it was really amazing because Abdullah, stop sharing now. Um, it was really amazing because it
That's
actually did.
that is what yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Okay. The video actually summarized my entire manuscript of 24 pages into a 9 minutes video. And it was interesting how they presented the video. I'm hoping that I cannot minimize, so probably I'll just have to share the video with somebody to share maybe later. But it was really interesting what I got, and I was so excited because I felt like this is a great way for me to disseminate my findings. Like instead of always doing the conventional sharing of links, where I know that people will hardly have the time to read 24 pages of what they don't even understand. The video
Mhm.
actually summarized it in 9 minutes, and the terms that were used in the video were actually very, very understandable to every lay person. So that is what I did. I'm sure I will share it so that next class we can be able to watch the video. But that's what I did during the week, and I also was able to generate some flashcards, and they were amazing.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Denze. That's some good feedback. You've been able to explore that and generate good videos from it. For those of us that sometimes hate reading, can always listen to the audio or watch the video and be sure of what your PIP 24 pages long paper that we may never understand what it's saying, but I'm sure it broke it down. Did it change the understanding to make it maybe more or to make it easier, or it still kept the high level of the terms?
No, what it did was it kept the high level of the terms. There were some specific key terms that were not changed, but the explanation of what the paper was in very basic English for everybody else to be able to understand. So there were key terms, of course, like migration, policies. There's some very key terms that were maintained, but the entire video, the way the AI generated it, because I had to check the facts and everything to be sure that everything was accurate. The way it explained the videos, like a lay person explaining a video to you. So with or without those terms, you could easily understand what I was trying to do in the paper, like what the paper was trying to communicate.
Okay. Okay. Life made simpler with AI. Thank you very much, Doctor. Any other person? Because we'll not consider us as a very, very, no, let me not be biased here. I'm not AI. Any other person has something to add from their experience? The session today is not, we don't have so many persons. Seems like Friday is not a good time, but it will put any other person. Okay, if there's no other, then we will move to today's discussion. Let me share my screen. So if you can see my screen, please do let me know. Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yes, we can see your screen, Martin. I can see your
Ah,
screen clearly.
Yes,
okay.
I can see it.
Okay, great. So week 3 for our AI for African Center Research. And this week we'll be focusing on designing a defensible methodology. And the sub concept is using AI to reason through research design without letting AI choose the study for you. It is using AI through, right, to help you through it without letting it make the final choice for you. Like we've always been talking about, you give the prompts, AI gives you some ideas, you make the final decision. So what's our target for today? We're going to move from a literature gap to research design that can survive supervision, ethics review, and examiner's question. The assumption here is every person, or as many persons as possible, will have a supervisor. You're not just doing research for fun. Even if you're doing research for fun, then surely somebody is supporting you. And there are also questions around ethics. Is everything that you're doing correct? Is the data you're feeding to AI correct? Is your research following ethical consideration? So by the end of today, what we should be able to do is, number one, align our problem, gap, research questions, and align our questions, our problem, gaps, research questions, objectives, and the method. So all of those 5 aspects or 4 aspects have to be aligned. Secondly, we'll look at using how we can use Notebook to compare methodologies from real papers. So we used Notebook the other day or last session to understand the flow, understand the main concept of one paper. Now you're going to have multiple papers which you will read, and after you've read those papers and approved that, okay, these are the papers that I want to work with. How you want to use Notebook to compare the methodologies from the real paper. So if you have 5 papers, you can say, okay, what are the methodologies that were used between paper 1, 2, 3, 4 to see what are the things that are common there or which methodologies are common so you can decide on which methodology to use. Next, will you use ChatGPT? Now, when you see ChatGPT here, please, 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 I'm not saying you always use ChatGPT. You can use Gemini, you can use Grok, you can use any other AI tool that even DeepSeek that you're most comfortable with. It's all about how you prompt it most of the times than sticking to ChatGPT. So if you see ChatGPT, just know that I'll say it's more of a chat. Any chatbot will work for you. So use ChatGPT to generate and critique your design options. Generate and critique. So you don't just generate and use, you generate and it turns into your devil's advocate. Hello? Okay. That was generate and critique your design options. Last but not the least, you want to identify the population, the sampling, the data collection, and the analysis choices. And finally, you want to spot ethical risks, especially when AI touches research data. Um, I think we'll talk about this one more in the as we go ahead. This is the alignment chain. A good methodology starts before the methodology. So you start from the problem, you get the gap, the research question, the objective, the data needed, the method, analysis, and ethics. This is not a research methodology class. So there are some things that I may say here that it may not be familiar, but I'm hopeful that most of us have already gone through maybe a formal research methodology class. But if not, maybe Sankofa is going to, if maybe it's going to organize another session like that, or maybe it's already organizing it. But this is the flow that we want to look. So if one link breaks, the design becomes weak. If you move from problem, gap, and you jump the research questions going to objectives, or if you have a weak research question, your objectives may not be as strong as what you need. And then it's from the objectives now that you know the kind of data that you need to collect, the method to use, how to analyze, and the ethical consideration. So AI is useful because it can expose hidden mismatch. You may think this is okay, but then there are things that mismatch. Maybe a gap is not matching with the question is not matching with the method. So AI is here to help you identify those mismatches before you even write your proposal. Now, how do we spot those mismatches? This is where many proposals fail, as it says. The research questions on the left, research question on the right left, proposed method on the right. Now, research question, what does it say? What are the experiences of, this is an example, just for us to know. What are the experiences of women accessing antenatal care in selected rural communities? Now, if you go to your proposed method, you say download hospital attendance record and run linear regression. The question asks about experience. Your data is showing attendance. If we go back here, the question and the data. Your question is talking about the experience. Your data is talking about attendance. So you see that your research question and your proposed method, they are not in alignment. There's a mismatch here. So what you can use an AI to do is, if you give it both research method if you give it both the research question and the proposed method, it can be able to identify that your question and method are not in alignment. Now, the first thing is to refine the question. Do not just let AI jump straight into chapter 3. Don't just go say, hey, start doing me chapter 3. You want to use AI to test the research question before designing the method. The assumption here is we have our research methods, we have our research question already. If we don't have them, I think it's something that's important that we know how to come up with those research questions. Now, we're using it to test against these 5 questions. Does it follow from the literature gap? In the literature, the gaps that are there, does it follow? Is the population clear enough? Can obtainable data answer your question? Is it feasible either as a master's level, at the PhD level, or at which level? Is it feasible for you to implement and execute this? You don't want to be overly enthusiastic about a particular topic, and then at the end of the day, you don't have the capacity. It's not feasible for you to implement it. And finally, are the objectives measurable or investigatable? So this is a prompt pattern that you can use on the right, which is in the green part. It says you can use something like this. Assess. I think somebody's mic keeps coming on. Okay, I think it's okay now. So the prompts on the right, which you can use, assess whether this research question follow from my problem and gap, right? If this research question, it follows from my problem and gap, if we go back, you see that this is still it. You have the problem, you have the gap, and you have the research question. You can get this problem and this gap from those conversations which you had with ChatGPT on during the first session. You can get the problem and the gap from those conversations. Now, it's asking, assess whether this research question follows from the problem and gap. Point out weaknesses before suggesting alternatives. You did not just tell it to suggest alternatives. You're telling it to, first of all, critique it, right? Critique first before you tell me your own. Don't just say, okay, this is a better alternative. Why? Because in that process of critiquing, maybe the alternative that is going to give you may not be suitable enough. You may instead take the critique that the AI has given you, and then finally you write the appropriate research question that you will need to complete your study. So we'll go to the next part, which is choosing the designer fits your question. I'll go back again. Research objectives, right? Data needed. Now we come here. The design pattern, you can either have qualitative, quantitative, or a mixed method. Now, qualitative is simply how, why, meaning, and experience. This is more around, you can get those data around interviews, focus group observations, and discussions. But when you come to quantitative is strictly numerical. How many, how much, association or relationships between multiple things. And you can get this from surveys, records, measurements. But then there's also the mixed method, where the mixed method you have both patterns, and you can have one, maybe how many and why you have that how many. So this requires both integration, time, and skills. And the final thing is what kind of evidence will actually answer the question? Let's keep that and we go ahead first. Now, this is a task that we're going to do. After I finish, I'm going to be I'll paste the prompts on the chat so that all of us can be able to go to our breakout rooms and try it out. So this is a notebook LM practical that we're going to do. So it says use the papers. I'm sure we still have those papers that we downloaded from the internet, the papers that we approved, at least 2 papers. Use the papers to learn how previous researchers designed their studies. Remember we said that you could use the um, notebook, go deep into the paper. Now we're using notebook to pick multiple papers and see how the previous researchers designed their own studies. You're not looking at exactly copying their pattern, but you want to see what are the similarities between each person's design pattern, how they design their study. So this is what you're going to be asking notebook to compare for it to give you final thing. The research design used, the population and sample, the sampling and recruitment, the data collection tools that were used, the analysis approach, the strengths and limitations. Yeah. So if you look at those things, it's like going to give you a table that's from the prompt I'm going to send. It's going to give you a table where you have each paper and a comparison of each of those major topics. Critical rule, cite each answer back to a paper. So each time you're having an answer, it should indicate where the answer is coming from which paper, so that you're not totally lost to say, okay, the answer has come out, yes, but where did this answer come from? So it's always important that you tell your AI tool to cite it back to the specific paper which it got that information from. After we've done that, what we're going to do now, we'll move from NotebookLM back to ChatGPT for design options. We are not going to ask it for the best methodology. It's really too early because we have gotten different methodologies here. We have gotten different methodologies that were used um in the previous paper. We're not just going to tell it, okay, tell me the best methodology, where it's too early. We want to give it context around the research or problem, the research problem and gap, the research question and objectives, the time, the budget. With Africa, we know we don't always have so much budget to carry our research, so we have to be very conscious of that. The budget, the access constraints, who will give you access to where, who will give you access to what, so that you can collect your data, what previous papers did, and ethical sensitivities. This is going to be your request. Propose 3 defensible approaches. Now, for each approach, state what it answers well, what it cannot answer, feasibility, ethics, and weaknesses. So you're telling it to propose. Then for each, it should state what it answers well, what it cannot answer, feasibility, and ethics. If you get your AI to start agreeing with you too early, or you get your AI to start saying, yes, you're right too early, no, you're likely on the wrong path. You're likely on the wrong path. So be careful when you start noticing that your AI starts agreeing with you too early. You want the 3 defensible approaches. For each of them, it should state what it answers well, what it cannot answer. So feasibility, ethics, and weaknesses. We said that one of the characteristics of the AI is your critic, is your devil's advocate, is your the person that is going to be very, very harsh on you. Let your AI at this point attack your design. You can say a friendly assistant produces comfort. A critical assistant improves research. You don't want to get comfortable with what the AI is saying because you want it to give you a pat on the back. No, you want your research to be improved based on this critical assistant that you're using. It's a use a hostile but fair examiner. Now, this is quite important. I'll highlight this. Hostile but fair examiner. I'm not trying to bash some people here, but sometimes we know how examiners can be hostile to, or supervisors can be hostile to students, especially if they see that your project is not making sense. So you want your AI at this point to be hostile, but fair. So you don't go and cry your eyes out. Mm. So in your prompt, that's what you're trying to do. Now, the wrong prompt is find mismatch, bias, sampling bias, unrealistic access, weak instruments, analysis gaps, generalization problems, and ethical risks. Do not rewrite yet. Give me the problem first. So you are ensuring that your AI doesn't go ahead of you. Do not rewrite yet. Give me the problems first. So it's acting as your hostile but fair examiner. I'll paste the prompts on the chat. So let's not worry. Let's not bother about typing or trying to take a screenshot. And I also share this the document on the group. So the best teaching moment. If AI always says your methodology is excellent, you are using it badly. This part. Let's be mindful. If it says your methodology is excellent, if it always says your methodology is excellent, then you're using it badly. It doesn't mean that if it says one time, two times, but if it keeps um if it keeps validating your methodology, then be careful. The flow is critique, revise, defend. Act as the hostile guy. Revise it based on these concepts and then defend it, right? So we go to, I think we're almost done with the slides. The assignment, which you will do at the end of this, is we're going to have a one-pager defensible AI critique, which is going to include the problem plus the evidence-backed gap, the main research questions plus 3 to 5 objectives. I'm sure we will be able to, we have problems that we're already working on or we already have in mind to work on. I don't know if that's the case, Dr. Ada.
Sorry, like what kind of problems?
Like if we've been doing testing papers
Mhm.
from the first task, each person picked a couple of papers and then was trying to get a research problem from there, right?
Mhm.
That's what we did.
Yes.
Am I clear or you're mixing me?
No, no, no. You're on the right track. That's what we did from the first week.
Yes. So each person would definitely have one that they want to do practical on. That's where we're going to be working from.
Okay.
Yes. So if you did not do the first task, then this may be a bit hard. But if you did not do it, it means
We lost you for a second, Martin.
will be a research design sheet that you're going to work on. And it's going to include the problem, the evidence backed gap, not just the gap, but evidence backed gap in the society. One main research question, 3 to 5 objectives. Then you're going to come up with the design of your choice and the justification why you chose that design. Next, you're going to pick the target population, accessible population, and the sample. Last but not the least, the sampling, the data collection, and the analysis plan. And then finally, we're going to look at ethical risk, or you have ethical risks plus AI critiques and research response. I know this may be much more, or it may be so much to um, digest at a go, but I want us to not get stuck on a tool. We didn't come to this for this bootcamp, or we didn't come to this bootcamp to learn how to use a tool. We came to this bootcamp to see how the tools can help us. So now this is the point where we have to put those tools into practice and be able to come up with this particular design sheet. Now, for the ethics reminder, I'll talk about this. Do not just upload identifiable participant data without their consent. Ethics approval and data security needs to be clearly allowed. What does this mean? You will go out on your when you're carrying out your research, collect people's data and come and dump it on the AI for it to do the analysis for you. Ethically, it's not right. Ethically, it's not right because the amount of data most of the times is usually very private information, even if it's interviews or whatever. A lot of us are doing it. A lot of us are doing it, but ethically, it's not the best thing to do. I take a pause here. If there are questions, we answer, we can ask, then we'll go now to the next phase, which I'm going to drop some of the prompts that we'll work on. in the breakout rooms. I'm going to give the specific instructions to the breakout rooms.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any things that we don't understand before we get into the breakout rooms? I know, like you said, it's a lot to digest, but it's one step at a time. Don't feel overwhelmed or pressured. I think once we start doing the practical side, it will be the most of the misunderstandings or the difficulties that we have will probably be cleared up while you're doing the exercise. So before we get into the breakout rooms, are there any questions? Is there anything that you need clarification on? Okay, Martin, I think since nobody's talking, I think
Sorry.
okay.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, the movement from the notebook LM to
Mhm.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's a little bit confusing. Like when you said that we are going to use ChatGPT or other platform like Cloud or anything to critique, or Gemini to critique our work. Are you suggesting, I don't know, get that place? Are you suggesting that we bring some of those things, the identify methodology from Notebook LM into ChatGPT or other platform like that, and then we say to critique it, or we will start again by using our gap to do that?
Okay. Thank you. That's a very interesting question. So how do you transfer um, content from one platform to another? So if you get potential research questions from notebook based or potential methodologies from the notebook based on the papers, it's going to give you the output. You're taking the output now to ChatGPT or to Gemini or to whichever platform. Why are we switching like that? Platforms have their powers. Notebook is able to give you an overview, but that overview needs some detailed level of scrutiny, and that detailed level of scrutiny is best for you to use an AI chatbot like ChatGPT, Gemini, or the other. I don't know if you understand. So the output from one, it has to be copied into the next one with the prompts which I'm going to share on the chat.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. So we're moving from research questions and objective. That will be the first part. And then you're going to have an output from there. Then you compare the papers, the output, then you're taking it now back to ChatGPT. I'll send them. Let me send them on. It's not here on my screen. I don't know if I should send it on this group or on WhatsApp.
I think you can
Since
post
we're
it in
going to
the
be going to
chat
breakout
section
rooms.
and then on WhatsApp as well.
Okay, let me post it there.
Okay,
I'll
while
have
you're
to.
doing that, should I go ahead to create the breakout rooms?
Yes, create the breakout
Okay,
rooms, but don't break people out yet.
I cannot create the breakout rooms without breaking people out.
Okay,
If I
then
create
wait,
it, I have to
Damala.
break. Okay.
Okay, dokie. Where do we stop this thing from presenting again? Okay. Because if everybody leaves this chat now, then so I'm pasting the first one, which says, yes, my preliminary research gap and literature gap. You're going to paste the research gap there. What is the research gap? Now, it continues saying, do not immediately rewrite them. First, assess the proposed research question. I think we talked about, we had that whole part of it going through to doing the assessment based on those 6 rules to point out the weaknesses before suggesting alternatives. So you have that first one. I'm going to paste the second. So the second one is about the methodologies. Just a minute. So the second one, I've pasted the second one. Across these sources, what are the sources? We are still on notebook. Across these sources, the sources are the papers. What research design were used? For every answer, cite the relevant paper. Do not infer a design if the author did not explicitly state. So you're telling me that, okay, if they did not put it, don't infer. So you're explicitly telling not to infer. And then the second prompt or the third one will be this. For the sampling approaches, compare the sampling approaches used in these studies. For each study, identify the target population, sample size, sampling technique, recruitment process, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria. And if it does not give, it should write not stated where necessary in case it did not give it. And I'm going to send one last prompt. These are sets of prompts for notebook. So compare their data collection methods. What did each method allow the researcher to understand? What could it not adequately answer? So we can do our breakout rooms now and run these queries. The first part, you need to definitely replace where it says pastes with your research problem and literature gap. This is at the level of notebook. Are we together?
Yeah, we're there. I'm just waiting for you to give me the go ahead to create the rooms.
Yes, this is the not so sexy part. This is the deep part. No voice from notebook, no nice video, no quizzes. This is where we get to crack our heads and find the final solution. So Dr. Denze, you can create the breakout rooms.
All right, I've created them. Please let's move to our different rooms. Please start going into your different rooms. I've created all the rooms already.
Welcome back, everyone. As usual, we will have. I noticed we had some difficulties, some groups put in some effort, some were a bit trying to find their way around. But let's still go ahead. We'll see which group wants to go first to talk about what they did, what the outputs they got, difficulties they encountered. Which group wants to go first? You
Okay,
must not have. Yes,
I
yes,
think
please go ahead.
before I have to go first. Like
Please.
we actually faced a lot of problems. Number one, like we we only have the research problem, and it was kind of broad. Like we didn't have the specific question or the gap yet. And
Do you want to share
with
your
the,
screen?
will I want to share my screen? Okay, let me just let me share my
Yeah.
screen. Share screen. Can you see me? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so we had just the research problem, and another thing is we tried to upload two papers, but one was not uploading, so we are just able to use one. At the end of the day, after sending the just the research problem now to what's it called with the first initial prompt, it says that since you did not include an explicit word for word research question at the end of your prompt, this assessment evaluate the implicit research question your driving your what's it called problem statement. So according to it, it was like the logical flow is strong, the clear population identification is weak, the phenomenon of variable being studied is moderate, feasibility with a master's level project low to moderate, can actually be answered using questionable data moderate, neither too broad nor unnecessary narrow, too moderate. So after that, it was like, would you like me to narrow? Would I like it to narrow? What's it called? The focus. But we went ahead with the second prompt. Even though we used one paper, it was like to analyze it said the only paper in your source, operationalization of last mile logistics and circular economic performance on online food delivery in Lagos, explicitly states that it employs a survey methodology to collect data from 389 clients of the online food delivery industry. To analyze the collected data, the study explicitly uses structural equation modeling. No other research design were explicitly stated by the author. So we used just one. After this place, we were unable to continue. Then the what's it called? The breaker room session ended. So this is where we stopped.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So you see, the feedback it gives, it tells you if it's first of all, yes, thank you, Sankofa, for I forgot to say let's give our emojis, let's do some show some love to our guys here. Thank you very much, Gufo. Now, looking at the fact that he had only one part, he was smart enough to say that the next part was not explicitly given, but then he did some implicit stuff around it, and he told you the parts that were too broad, the parts that were moderate. So what you want to achieve is not just go and paste the second question, but I know you pasted the second question so you could have the task done. But what you normally supposed to do is go through several iterations until you can be able to fine tune and get um, those things to achieve a particular either moderate or high or good level. You get.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not just for it to give you an output. The output, when you read the output, you know, it's okay, where am I deviating? Is the scope too broad? Because I think I saw that it said the scope was too
Yeah, the
broad.
scope was too broad.
Yes. Now, if you want to pick on the scope, okay, what will you recommend based on maybe the other sources that are there and based on maybe the resources that you have to execute it and all of those, the rest of the parameters, so it can help give you more information from there. But that was a great presentation. Thank you for.
Okay.
Do we have another group that wants to go?
All right. Yeah.
Yes, please,
Okay.
Stephen.
Group two. So I'll share my screen. Sharing. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can
Yes.
see your screen.
All right. All right. So I've been working on this particular one since the first week actually, and I recently downloaded more papers for this particular work, and I just selected two of those papers to add to practice this particular assessment. And based off what I got from the first, the possible gap that I got from the first two classes. So I just put something, although it was still very broad. I could not pick the exact one, so I picked something from the problem statement that resembles is similar to the gap. So, and then I uploaded it, I pasted it into the specific place, and then so it analyzed it and then gave some kind of assessment generally. So it said the logical flow from the gap was weak. I mean, it was the assessment strong potential but needs explicit framing. So it gave some things, and then it specifically stated how to tighten it up. The population identification, based off on what I put there, I did not specify the population actually here. Although in the normal place I was writing it, I specified the population is supposed to be a health sector and supposed to look from at it from a governance dynamic. So I didn't put it because I was rushing. I just pasted something. So now we got he said the population was weak, and also the variable and the phenomenon. The variable are conceptually sound but highly abstract also, because I needed to define the variable clearly. So I think I needed to work more on this particular variable. We need to work more on this particular variable. And after that, he told me how to tighten it up. So at the end of the day, he said it's feasibility, like because of time constraint, it might not be feasible for a master's level project actually. So he highlighted it here as a weakness, and also how to tighten it. It's either you trickle down, it's either I trickle down the or narrow down the stuff to a multiple case comparison of different municipalities, because it's supposed to be a municipality research focusing on the health sector at the municipality level. So now also obtainable data is highly challenging due to secrecy and data gap. And at the end of the day, actually, it recommended alternative refinement, and with the one that fits perfectly to what I mean, that has a semblance to what I had in mind from the beginning, based off of what I generated from the first two classes, was the option C, the smart city governance angle, and it is a qualitative to process policy analysis something. So now he said, how do local interdependent coordination barriers and legacy digital infrastructure affect the adaptation of national smart cities cybersecurity guideline? So now, after picking option C, I wrote there that option C is the refined research gap to work with in this context because of its governance angle. So now it now focuses on the option C and then gave some other things, and also it maps out the variable and all like that is going to be feasible based off of the option C. So after it did that, I now told it to actually I inputted the second prompt. The second prompt, it said across these sources, across these two papers, actually, what research design were used. For every answer, cite the relevant paper, as you said we should do. And it stated the first one did not actually fit into the basis of the option C, because it was a systematic study. It was a secondary study that synthesized a lot of literatures together and all. But when you come, it is based on the second article is a qualitative multiple case analysis with process tracing, and it fits to the suggestion that it gives after I've identified that it was option C that I was going to be going with. So they stated it somewhere here that it's supposed to be it stated it here that we should use feasible methodological design to ensure this project is highly achievable within a master's time frame without requiring restricted, highly classified data. You should use a qualitative multiple case study. So it fits perfectly into the second paper, qualitative multiple case analysis with process tracing, and it explained explicitly what the design actually is. Qualitative analysis, semi-structured airlight interview, process tracing. And it is also stated the research design of the review study in literature. So now it compares the two paper again, and that's where it did it here. So, but following our prompt, I gave it the same prompt, compare the sampling approach, which it has already compared here. Said sampling approach using these studies for each study identified that targeted population, sample size, sampling technique, recruitment process, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria. Right not stated where necessary. So, and he did it again. He stated for the first paper, he did everything for the first paper, and also he did for the second paper. Based off of the former suggestion, if we are going with option C, we need to focus more on the second the second article, which is using our research design, which is using the suggested research design, which is a qualitative case study research design. So now we'll look in detail into its policy. It stated its targeted population, policymaker and senior private sector manager directly involved in cybersecurity for critical infrastructure. Sampling size, over 40 individuals were interviewed. Sampling technique, light interviewing utilizing non-probability probability sampling. Recruitment process not stated in this particular case. Inclusion criteria, informant must have been directly involved in cybersecurity for critical infrastructure, specifically operating a policymaker as a policymaker or a senior private manager. So it gives more information, and exclusion criteria too. It was not stated. So now, based off of this, we also asked it to do what? Compare the data collection method. What did each method allow researchers to understand? What could it not adequately answer? It also stated it. So based off of this, we are not focusing on the first paper again. We're looking at the second paper, qualitative method, multiple case study, as we said earlier, which was suggested as the option C again. And then it talks about it, the method. The author conducted a qualitative case analysis drawing on public government documents, secondary sources, and semi-structured airlight interview with over 40 key informants. These informants included anonymous policymaker and senior private sector manager directly involved in critical infrastructure security. To analyze the data, they use process tracing.
Steven, can you try to round up so that we can
Okay,
do
okay.
other groups?
Okay, so they did this actually, and then finally it generated a table. And I believe based off of what he said, we are going to be taking this table and we're going to be taking it to ChatGPT to criticize it.
Yes.
So I think that was what we were able to do.
Thank you so much. That's great. Quite detailed. I like it. Now, the limitation you had now is you had just two papers. Now, just imagine that you had 7, 8, 9 papers. It could give you a deeper source of truth, right? It could compare those papers because after one or two prompts, you notice that it had eliminated one paper and you had just one. And in that kind of case, your research is going to be so biased that you're reviewing only just one paper. So, but I encourage you people strongly that I talked about two papers, but you shouldn't end there. You can go as much as 10 papers. That, of course, work for they're still aligned towards the topic which your research is on. Thank you very much, group 2, for that. Any other group wants to present before we go?
Yeah,
What?
may I?
Yes, please.
So, first off, I wasn't on site. So because I wasn't really stable, we weren't able to pull through with our resources on time because none of us had laptops. So now I understand why it was strictly important for us to have laptops with regards to taking this course. So we were able to get done just with the very first one. Number one, working with the first prompt. So the very first thing was I first of all missed out the fact that I needed to structure my research questions. So when I inserted the prompt, it couldn't particularly give me the sort of papers the sort of response that was needed. And the system reminded me again that I might have missed out on the questions. So I had to go back again and I copied out I copied out what I had as response from my first assignment, which gave me sort of a review, some sort of a synthesis from my initial assignment. I think there it gave me some background information. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we lost you for a few seconds there, but you're back.
Okay. So I'll try and share my screen. I don't know, everything is gone blurry again. Okay. I'll try and share my screen. Okay, so from our first assignment, there was this part that talked about reviewing the proposed directions critically and writing to write a short explanation of why we selected a topic. So due to time constraint, I had to go back to this paper to copy that particular section. That sort of gave me a little background with regards to the context and where the gaps actually lie. So with that, I was able to go back again to the assignment section that requested of us to uh, ask of the system to give us 10 critical questions or critiques. So I picked out those questions and reformulated them back into my research questions and then brought it back here, then copied out the first prompts. So after I readjusted that in that format, I had quite some feedback. So I got this grounded insight from the literature. It was able to pull this for me. Um, somewhat I was getting responses with regards to the question. I was able to get feedback with regards to what the biggest gender-related issue, which was uncovered from the two articles that were uploaded, are. And here I can even see that really quantifying and referencing from the first and the second article that was uploaded. And I think I find it really impressive. I see the statistics. I see that it even highlighted the caregiving roles. As to my second question, who is impacted the most when it comes to Ebola outbreaks? It highlighted that for me, first off, starting with women and girls, rural populations, the socioeconomically disadvantaged populations. Then over to my third question, what are stakeholders doing to address these gender gaps? It also went ahead to enumerate quite a few, and I also really like the fact that there is quite some references over here from where I can, know the source. I can go back there to read even much more deeply to get more context or background information with regards to that. So in terms of, I can see quite a lot of it here. And then it says, let's assess a research focus against your six criteria to point out structural weaknesses before suggesting alternatives. So in a tabular manner, it's been able to provide this feedback from me, which I'll definitely not be reading through due to time constraints. And I find it really, really impressive that it could come up this way because it sort of gives me stronger alternatives, or say pushes my thought patterns with regards to this research topic in a very much constructive manner. So, I mean, I feel these are quite some options which it is proposed for me, why it works, and I mean, I find it really impressive. So this is how far I could come, and I was still in the phase of trying to copy out these responses so that I can proceed now. I can proceed now to inserting my second prompt. But I'm really unsure how to do this because immediately I click on copy, it's asking me to create, I don't know what. So I think that would take me to asking the question, how do I go about copying these responses? Do I just need to select highlight and copy, or how do we go about it? But overall, I just want to say that I have found this as a very amazing learning exercise, and I'll definitely be taking this as a homework. And if you permit, I'll be more than happy to share my feedback, maybe in my assignment folder and the drive, or maybe directly with you. So I think I would leave it at this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. That was quite good and detailed. Um, Guys, let's put the emojis together. Jam the emojis. Don't break the emojis, please. Just jam them very hard. Yes. Yeah, you can always highlight, drag, copy. Sorry, click, highlight and copy, and then go and paste, because you may not want to copy everything from that page, or so. I'm sure you can do that. Just check, just try to see. Like when you normal highlighting, does it work?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, then that should do you the
So one
job.
question, I really like the fact that there is quite some referencing within the feedback it's provided me, but I'm wondering now if I select in this way, because I see that technically it's avoiding those numbers, those citations within the feedback it's provided. I don't know if I copy it this way, will it still reflect those tiny numbers I see in between the words?
Go try it and let's see what we get from there.
Okay, perfect. On it.
Thank you very much. I think as at now we've officially come to the end. I'm going to send these slides, and I'm going to describe the assignment, because I noticed a couple of people were a bit lost, which is okay. Some people are still at work, some people are still trying to maybe make one or two things happen in the house. It's okay. I'm going to write out the assignment on a Google Doc or any file, and then send it to the group so that we know the steps to follow and what is expected of us from the next and the final session, which is going to be next week. So thank you all so much, those that came, those that dropped, those that came new. Keep working, keep using AI, keep making your work great, and I'm going to see people next week. Hand it over to Sankofa. Thank you, Sankofa, again.
Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you for the effort. Thank you for everything. So he's going to be sharing the homework for this week. Remember, last week we didn't have homework, so we're really laxed. But this week we're going to be having some homework to keep us busy right up till the next session, which will be announced. So thank you once more for joining. Thank you for all the effort. We see the effort that you're putting, and we hope that you'll be able to practice after the sessions, and not just abandon the work or just leave it until we are having meetings. So happy weekend to everyone.